Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Happy Catty Crypto here. So, got a really interesting podcast episode to bring to the community. And in a time like this, when there's so many different things going on, things do get missed and things don't get as much attention as they should. And this is really a game changer for the Lunar Classic community as a whole. And then also looking at not only our own community, but outside the community and utilizing what we have to hand. So I have Faffy on, which is the person behind the Terra Classic Community DEX, to pretty much just go through it, talk to us, answer some questions, and just kind of get it out there for people to see. So Faffy, thank you for coming on and giving us your time this morning here in the UK, which is, I think it's late at night for you, so it's about 10 p.m. for you now, isn't it?
All right, yes. So, hi, thanks for having me. I'm Fafi. I've been around. People have seen me or have spoken with me on the Terra Rebels Discord server. I was part of the team like back at the very beginning when it started before we opened governance. So I was working. I was the lead of the quant team. Uh, I have my background is in finance, so I've been working for banks like in derivatives and quantitative development and all for like 10, 15 years. I've done also some blockchain development. I worked at a company called IOV, which now has become Starname, which is also on the Cosmos ecosystem. And I've been working a lot around the swap mechanism, so the so-called USTC, basically trying to figure out how it works and how we could actually, if we could actually make it work and what went wrong with the whole mechanism, etc., etc. So that's the sort of things I've been involved with for the past months. And then I've been working on some sort of proposal or plan for the platform and the ecosystem to be able to bring it back to where it used to be, which is like one of the top DeFi protocol, in my opinion, at least. One thing I've been interested into was what I call the digital effects, or at least the ability to have multi-currencies traded on Uniswap-like pools, so on DEXs. So, for example, EUTC versus JPTC or USTC, which is still like a bit problematic, but USTC with EUTC, etc. And knowing that we actually have a form of DEX already available in our platform, this led me to consider writing or developing what I call a community DEX, which is a decentralized exchange at the L1 level, which is part of the core protocol, where we could take some money from the Oracle pool to provide liquidity so that we could actually earn money back from the transaction fees. And that would help to refill the Oracle pool, potentially also refill the community pool, and even burn some supply if we wanted to. So in a nutshell, that's pretty much myself and the background or the context for this proposal.
And I mean, figuring out a way to burn coins but not focus on burning coins is such a bonus when it comes down to a DEX like this. And like you've just been saying, it's something that's there and it's ready for us to actually innovate on and use, right?
Absolutely, that's right. So actually, it's sometimes it's a bit confusing when we speak about this part of our system or platform or blockchain. We say like you swap $1 worth of LUNC for one USTC or vice versa, one USTC for $1 worth of LUNC. This was basically a mechanism designed to help maintain the peg of USTC towards to the dollar. And it's actually quite interesting because when we say you swap, what do you swap against? Well, you swap against a form of a DEX, a specific version of a Uniswap V2 DEX which was quite innovative, by the way, because this has been, I think it has been rolled out in 2019, so quite some time ago. And it's a beautiful piece of technology and all, and we've got like everything here. So this whole infrastructure, of course, it requires to be changed or adapted slightly for what we want to do, and we're going to go through it in a moment. But this, together with the Oracle, which is another piece of infrastructure allowing us to receive data from the external world, so to receive like quotes or prices from outside contributors, I will call it this way. You can do some very interesting things with this. And by the time we actually figure out our proper long-term vision and all, and we agree on it as a community, etc., we can actually just use or operate this platform, which is readily available to earn some revenue so that we can then reinvest into either some further development, some infrastructure, but we can also use it to buy back and burn the supply in a way as well. So,
And for, everything that's going on currently with because there's no algorithmic stablecoin currently to serve the Cosmos in a sense, and there's always going to be a need for that. And, this route that you're suggesting with the DEX could eventually, further down the line, lead to some kind of repeg.
absolutely. I mean, the idea, so I've been looking a lot, as I said, at the repeg and what you just said, no, like an algorithmic stable coin and all these things. I mean, ultimately, as TFL used to put it, decentralized economy needs a decentralized currency, right? So this is a slogan, but I think it means actually a lot for what we're trying to do. I guess the approach I've taken is more, do we put this on the critical path or not? Meaning that do we want to focus right now on this thing, knowing that we might not succeed or we might succeed straight away, we don't even have the funding, etc. Or do we actually start rolling out some sort of cool infrastructure while still working on this along the way and in order to find a solution, hopefully at some point?
Yeah, no, I honestly agree with that, focusing on the right kind of things at the right time, because then later on you could in tow get to those certain things. So what I really love about this is the fact that you've brought Luna into the mix and, creating this swapping opportunity the way that you have, it makes things interesting for not so much the kind of person who will buy a bag and sit on a bag, but people who look for arbitrage opportunities. And it's such a huge thing in the market. People love to be able to, swap. That was kind of the idea behind the whole mint to burn processes. There was always money to be made by making the swap between the two to in effect burn one and then add to the other supply. So, we have so much around us, and this in itself, it's a game changer. So what you've got up in front of us here, it does address not only the Oracle rewards pool, but the community pool as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. So basically, that's how the DEX, that's an idea of the different component or the different actors involved in the DEX. So, and basically, you've got your liquidity, and we'll come back to this in more details, or feel free to ask questions whenever. That's completely fine. So you've got your reserves of tokens. In this instance, I got like 1,330 LUNC and 10 USDC. And then you've got what we call the liquidity provider here, which will be the person or the entity depositing this token in the marketplace to be swapped by traders. And then on this side here, you've got, precisely the trader, which will input the amount of token he wants to exchange and will get some token in return. So in this case, he's going to put like 13 LUNC and get, 13 LUNC and get 1 USDC. And of course, he's going to pay a transaction fee. And this transaction fee is going to be actually here, I think it was 133 is a mistake, the exchange rate. So 133 LUNC and 1% fee to get 1 USDC. And this fee here, we've set it 1% is going to be like a param change. So we could put like 0.5% or whatever. And this transaction fee, because it is the Oracle which has deposited or provided the liquidity, the token to be traded, the totality of the transaction fee can either be sent back to the Oracle pool, or it can be split. We can say, for example, that we give like 0.8% to the Oracle pool and 0.2% to the community pool, or we can even split it three-way, and we could say like we give 0.3% to the Oracle pool, 0.3% to the community pool, and 0.3% to actually burn the supply of LUNC. Right? So this way everyone's happy. So that's going to be things to be decided in governance. And then, of course, so in a DEX, the price of the token that you exchange is given by, we say, the ratio of reserve. So in this case, because I have 1,300 roughly LUNC and 10 USDC, you can say that it takes like the price is 130 LUNC to get 1 USDC. And every time we trade, we're gonna change this price. That's inherent to how DEX work. That's just the way it is. And because this price is going to be moved, as you just said before, this is going to lead to what we call arbitrage opportunity, meaning that people will want to either buy from us to sell on Binance, or buy from us to sell on Osmosis, or buy on Binance to sell to us. And that's going to create some nice trading volume, hopefully. And every time that people trade, there is a transaction fee. And every time that this happens, we're basically earning money. So that, in a nutshell, the concept behind this proposal or this desk.
So for the people who are probably sitting there, they might be thinking, what's the risk of what you're going to take from the community pool, right? And I think a good way to compare this to right now is there's a community pool spend up for a considerable amount of LUNC for a Rebel station, and this is around 825 million, right? If we wanted to follow this route, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I think this is these are the kind of ideas we need bringing forward, because this in itself. So, are you aware of the Alliance module, Faffy?
Well, exactly, right. That's also what I had in mind when I wrote this.
See, this is very interesting, because the Alliance module is a game changer, and if you're thinking about that, then I know then you're ready to, and you're already willing to, integrate and accept that this is happening, it's a thing, and we can actually utilize it. And you do have a very well hidden burn in here, which could be very effective.
That's right. So basically, how to say, what I had in mind. So when you have, and it's actually somehow linked to what you just mentioned before, and we're going to go back to this more in detail, which is like the risk involved with providing liquidity. But basically, when we have, so we start with LUNC and USDC, and when there is like some volume in trading, we earn a share of this through the transaction fees. That's awesome. Now, what do we want to do? You can quickly see the idea is that the more trading pairs, the more tokens I can trade on our exchange, the more money we're going to earn. And when I say we're going to earn, this is not going to be an application, a DApp. This is going to be part of the core module, so that the money goes back to the protocol treasury, if you want. So we want to have more tokens to trade, so that we're going to earn more transaction fee through a higher trading volume. That's the idea. However, if you take some sort, because we're using the money or the tokens from the Oracle, if we start using too many different tokens outside of our ecosystem, we have the risk of getting or losing or tokens, or getting like rugged, etc. So it gives birth to all sorts of risks. So the idea was, how can we have actually a lot of volume with few tokens, which on top of it make sense for our ecosystem. Because at the end of the day, if the Oracle gives you, say, 1,000 LUNC and 10 USTC, what you want to do is be able to return these tokens back whenever we want to stop the operation if we want to, but also be able to give more LUNC and USTC on top of this so that the Oracle can distribute them to the validators and the stakers. To increase the number of tokens, like you want to have tokens which are still tightly coupled to what we have in our ecosystem. So for example, Luna, in my opinion, seems to be like a natural fit in there because we kind of like tightly coupled or somehow at least coupled blockchains, right? It's like you've got TFL behind both. They come from the same root, I should say. And so in a way, it makes sense that it's also that you have like the same holders or people who have Luna might want to get exposure to Terra Classic, or people who have exposure to Terra Classic might want to get exposure to Luna V2. So it makes sense financially to have this traded on our exchange without adding too much more risk for what we're going to be doing. The other one, which I think makes also sense, is Atom because this is Cosmos, etc. And again, you're adding a new token without adding too much additional risk on top of it. When I say risk is, we'll go back through it again after, but that's the impermanent loss and all, which are the risk inherent to providing liquidity in a DEX. And then that's fine. So that gives us LUNC, USTC, Luna, and Atom. It's cool, but that's only 4 tokens. So we came up with this idea of introducing these concepts of Terra indices, whereby basically you can pay with USTC only. So that gives a bit of utility to USTC because whenever you would like to buy this thing or this token, or you will have to basically go and purchase USTC to do the swap. And actually what it does is just like it simplifies your life, because if you want to, if you want to buy, you say, oh, I would like to have exposure to both Terra Classic and Luna V2. Well, I just want to be able to buy both at the same time with one click. That's really the idea behind it. That's for people who are stacking in Terra Classic. When they receive their rewards, they receive all sorts of tokens. So you have EUTC, KRTC, etc. And sometimes you just want to swap all of them at once for LUNC. All right, so it's a one-click operation. And to create this, because it makes it handy and it simplifies your life, it was for us a nice way to squeeze in a small burn. So whenever you're gonna what we call mint an index, you're gonna basically pay with your USTC. Behind the scene, we're gonna do some swapping against some pools. Then we're gonna end up with a token representing your both your LUNC and Luna holding together. And we're going to send a bit of LUNC to the burn. So this way it won't be noticed too much. And people are happy because it simplifies their life. Why would you do that? Just because, you don't have to do like to manage multiple tokens, to do multiple clicks, etc. And I think that's one case or one example where you can have like a small tax, a burn tax, and people won't really pay much attention to it.
And that's what counts. And the idea behind you giving a use case in itself to USTC is so important, and then you actually tracking on the fact that the majority of people will just swap everything on the one-click system. One click, passwords in, all of those are gone, and I've got my Luna Classic. That's all I care about. This changes the game. It puts a different weight to the scale, and it actually gives a reason for you to do something with your USTC. You can teach people about this, and it's like you're reintroducing not only the burn tax in a place where it won't be noticed, but you're actually reintroducing USTC in a place where it needs to be noticed. And if it does get that kind of opportunities that it could get, because Luna's a whole different world, regardless of it being part of the system and stuff. Phoenix it's new, and they have so many a lot of the main developers, they are there, they're working, and there's so much that's going to happen in the future. So that bridge between the two, you just don't know when one's going to pop and the other one might sit still, and that leaves a really good arbitrage opportunity for just the most basic people that don't understand how grid bots work and everything like that. And this care and consideration you're taking as to not introduce too many coins too quickly, for the simple fact that someone will probably use grid bots and other things like that to figure out a way to really heavily start playing with the system. So you really are taking a lot of care and consideration into this. So the idea is, right, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, is to not only ask for the Oracle rewards pool payout, but then to put it back, right?
Well, yes, that's the thing. So in the proposal, we insist on that. We say we borrow funds or we borrow tokens from the Oracle. So what we wanted to insist on the fact that it is the Oracle pool which will be providing liquidity to this DEX, and that if, say, in 6 months we want to do something different, we are not happy, whatever, and we want to stop this, or we want to, well, basically do something else, there is a clear ownership of the token. The tokens belong to the Oracle pool, right? It was just borrowed so that we could run this DEX. And if we finish this, we can basically just send the tokens back. That's one thing. The other thing is that this is going to generate some more token through the transaction fees and the trading volume, as we said earlier. And we're going to basically, it's equivalent or it's akin to paying a yield to the Oracle pool, so that, at the moment is only bleeding token, is only giving tokens away. And this way we start refilling it.
So talk to us a little bit about the flash loans and the way that that's going to work for people that are going to be, because that's going to be something that really will help, won't it?
Okay.
Because people obviously
Okay.
borrowing and then paying that back interest, that happening on a broad scale, it does start to
All
add
right.
up.
All right. So basically, there are two. Okay. So there are two loans here, if you want. So the first one that we just said. So we wanted the Oracle pool to basically provide liquidity into the DEX. It was not because we wanted to be able to raise funds quickly to provide liquidity. It really was intended that we need to provide to give a yield on the funds currently in the Oracle pool, waiting to be distributed to validators and stackers. So all this we have like pretty much in dollar. I think we have like around $60 million at the moment. It is sitting idle. It is not doing anything and is just getting emptied slowly, slowly, slowly. Right. So we thought, okay, we must find a way to provide a yield on these funds so that it will help actually refilling it, or at least fight the bleeding effect or the distribution effect which is happening to the stackers and the validators. So that's one thing. And it's very important because validators are keeping the network safe. And if we just keep going this way, at some point there won't be no rewards no more. And then validators will leave the network and we won't be secured anymore. So this is a question or problem which needs to be addressed sooner rather than later. So that's one thing. This is going to be what we want to do here is basically it's going to be a one-off. So we want to take the fund that will be decided by governance, right? So by governance, we'll decide, okay, we want to start with $1 million, or we're going to decide we're going to start with 1,000 LUNC and 10 USTC, all right? I think what we're thinking of doing now is introducing a new type spend proposal, which would actually allow to transfer these tokens from the Oracle to this new liquidity module. Because that's a way to be more safe and secure in case we get hacked. All right. So if we get hacked, you don't want to have this module. You don't want it to have access to the funds in the Oracle pool. Right. If people, it can happen. It has happened. Many hacks have happened in the DeFi space. And if people somehow manage to hack this new module, you don't want them to. You don't want to give them access through this module to the entirety of the Oracle pool, which is basically the key to the security of our network. All right. So these tokens are going to be transferred as a one-off, and then we can change the amount which is being transferred, or this one-off transfer, we can change it to governance. Okay, and then once you got access to this 1,000 LUNC and 10 USTC, you deposit them into your pool. All right, and you're providing liquidity, which is fine. Now, we just said before that we're going to have multiple pool. We're going to have like LUNC USTC, we're going to have LUNC Luna, we're going to have LUNC Atom, we could have as well, etc. So we're going to have several pools. And what happened, that's inherent to the nature of a DEX, or a constant product automated market maker, is that when the price, as we said before, of the pair is going to be changing due to people trading against the DEX. And that will lead to small price discrepancies between the different pools. And we would like to take opportunity of this to arbitrage these pools. You can see it, to make it very simple, you can see it as a way to housekeep our pools. So our pools are going to move slightly from the price that they should have between themselves. And we want to be able to touch the pools slightly so that they come back to their level. And every time we'll be doing that, that's called an arbitrage. We're going to be earning some money for housekeeping our pools. That's awesome. But for that, we need a bit of funds or tokens. Okay. So that leads us to here quickly in this diagram, you can see that you have three pools. So you have like LUNC USTC, USTC Luna, and then Luna LUNC. All right, and you can see that the price of Luna in USD implied by this pool is $154, and then the price of Luna USD implied by this pool is $185. So that's where this kind of arbitrage or housekeeping is going to happen. And basically, you start with 1,000 LUNC and you will end up with 1,200 LUNC. So you earn like 20%, which is pretty cool. But for that, you need the initial 1,000 LUNC that you will be able to swap through the cycle here and follow the path until you get back with the 1,200, and you can give back the 1,000 and pocket the 200, which is going to be redistributed, for example, to the Oracle pool, or we can split it as we said earlier. All right, so this 1,000, what happens? There is this beautiful thing, which is like a quiet, amazing, I think, innovation which happened in blockchain, and which has arisen with the DEX. That's what we call a flash loan or a flash swap. So if you make the analogy for people who are familiar with databases, when in a database, when you can, it stores data, and sometimes you want to insert complex data or multiple data at once. And it's a null or nothing. So either you can insert everything, or you have to roll back everything. All right. So that's called like an atomic transaction, a transaction whereby either everything gets committed and inserted or nothing happens. So in crypto, you have the same with the concept of borrow lending, which is you can borrow funds, you can use them, for example, to take an arbitrage, and then you can return the funds back and pocket the profit that you made with your arbitrage. All right. Now, if when at the time of giving the funds back, if you didn't have enough to pay back your arbitrage, your loan, sorry, then the whole entire transaction is cancelled. And we want to use this to be able to housekeep our pools or to arbitrage our pools internally. That's not something that we're going to be offering to people, to users outside. This is going to be solely used by the protocol to make some extra to boost the return or the money earned on top of the DEX and the transaction fees.
The way that I'm seeing this also is it's familiar. It's familiar to people that previously used the mint to burn mechanism, because a lot of people get confused and think that the mint to burn was them actually burning a lot of coins, but the supply never actually changed. It would just take one from one supply and add it to the other, vice versa. So this in itself, it's familiar, and because it's familiar, people are more accepting of things that have familiarity to what they're used to. I really think this has, game changing power behind it. And if we can just get the correct support behind it, I think it's an absolute wise adventure. I think even with what we've decided to spend out of the community pool so far, this is probably the best thing that we could be looking into actually doing right now. So the the deliverables for this, just quickly going down to something way at the bottom here, it's to be treated as a module, right, Faffy?
This to be treated as a module. So when you say a module, I guess you're talking about a Cosmos module, right? Part of the core protocol.
Exactly.
Absolutely, yes.
That's really good, because for the people who don't know what that means, is it would always be part of our system. Those coins would never ever, they would always, no one's taking ownership of this. The system will own it. The system will do it all. And, like you're saying, if they don't have enough to pay that back, then the whole thing's cancelled anyway. So it's fine, right?
That's right, absolutely. And that was the idea. We wanted to make use again, as I said before, and that's very important to make to put the fund in, or part of the fund in the Oracle pool to work. But we wanted to do that as safely as possible, and in a way that it would always stay in the system, so that we always have the protocol always have ownership of its token at any point in time.
So there's going to be 2 senior developers. It's going to be over 2 months, and then also 1 senior quantitative analyst. And these kind of things, they require a good amount of testing, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So basically, it's I think that's inherent, or we've been building basically in my team, we've been building like trading system and algorithms for like 10 to 15 years, right? So and there's a lots of processes involved. So when you roll out a new algo or a new project, financial product, you need to know, well, does it work? Is it like the pricing system, the system which is supposed to give the price for it? Does it work correctly, etc.? So you've got a whole lot of processes that sometimes you may find are either lacking in crypto or are kept internally. So the companies behind the protocols, the big protocols that we know, they have all this tooling, and that's the tools that they use for themselves. That's understandable. They don't share them. So in here, we have started to develop a Python library allowing to reproduce all of the things that we want to do on chain, off chain, so that we can start working on what we call having a benchmark. So looking at the data, generating data to be used for when the implementation will happen, so that we have like a comparable. We can, when we're going to implement the swap in the Cosmos module, when I'm going to swap, it's going to give me, I'm going to swap like 100 LUNC, and it's going to give me X USTC. And I want to be able to compare with whatever data I've been able to generate using our tools, but it gives the same numbers. And then I want to automate this process because I don't want to just go and click a few times in Terra Station and say, oh, okay, it looks about right, and I'm happy. We want to fully automate it and have like some simulation, backtesting, work of historical data, simulate data in the future, etc., to see how it behaves, if it seems like to do the right thing. I mean, you've got like, it's pretty much like a project on its own, and we have started to do that. And that's going to be used for us, and it's going to be open source. And hopefully, one of the things or a side effect of that is that A is going to help us to attract talents to build in our blockchain. So, because obviously we have a background in quantitative analysis, in finance, you've got lots of cool people or young quants working at banks, which I think will be more than happy to start like contributing or looking into what we are doing, etc. And we're very keen to get these people, to attract these people to come and build and work with us. So, and it's also going to allow us to generate all sorts of report and data analysis, so that we can, when we want to change parameters for governance, we have like data and things to support these changes.
That's absolutely beautiful. The amount of care and consideration you guys are putting into this it's unbelievable, and we just need to see more of this. This is what we need as a community. So you're splitting it down, aren't you, into 3 proposals so you don't overwhelm the community, and to also provide and deliver on what you're saying, right?
That's right. So basically, there are 2 things for that. Is we want to, when we did this, we work on the assumption that, imagine we have like roughly the community pool gets $100,000 a month. So we want, even if we have to wait for 2 or 3 months, at least we can fund this thing. So we don't want to take everything from the community pool at once, because there are other teams who also need this fund. So we try to break it down in terms of cost, so that it can be done anywhere. I mean, if we have more money at the moment, like I think we have like 500K or so in the community pool, I mean, the faster the better. But if not, we can still make it happen. So that was important. The second thing is that it's important to break it down in small modules, so that you can quickly realize whether when something goes wrong, right? So if the first module does not seem to do what we say was going to do, or if is not up to the standards that the community is expecting, then you might as well say, okay, we don't want to fund you for the next one, and you've got the idea, the concept, and maybe you want to get like, or to seek someone else to pursue the project or whatever. But it was important to break it down. It's also easier. It makes it easier for us to be able to get like a realistic value on each pieces, but to basically make it to remove all the risk as possible from not being able to deliver.
And the delivery is always the thing that people like to see. So this, for me, in the most ideal world, everything going according to plan, you would see good reports, people would be happy, see that it's working, see that things are actually moving, because this is going to create, and it could create, huge amounts of volume again on the chain, just like before. So this, it's golden. It's absolutely golden. There's a lot of thought that's gone into this, and you've been saying just previously you've been testing this, right, externally, and basically running to see what outcomes you get, right?
Yes. So basically, yeah. So I think, and that's also part of it, is we wanted to have like these tools and simulation to as a way to to communicate and create the emulation, but also to have people like as you just said, like somehow to bring like all sort of activities back on chain. Now, to answer a bit more your question in terms of how much we think this is going to make, right? So, because that's super important, we're going to be spending some money. We want to know how much we're going to get back, or how much we can potentially make on it. So we're writing tools to estimate this accurately and to have all this report and data that we're going to be able to use and to discuss with the community. That's one thing. However, you can make like some very simple, and we wanted it this way as well, because I think one of the success of the tax, the burn tax, is that it was super easy for people to compute their own assumption expectations, right? So it was very easy to say, okay, 1%, if there is like X volume on chain per day, that's going to be like X time that volume, blah, blah, blah. So, and that's what makes it people somehow were able to take ownership of that proposal, right? So in this case, it's very simple. You have like roughly, I think, in real volume, or you can take like a very reasonable assumption at the moment of $100 million of trading volume in LUNC and in USTC, right? So let's say that we can capture 1% of this trading volume on chain. So in our DEX, that would be like $1 million per day. And then we're earning 1% of this $1 million per day, which is $10,000 per day. So making the assumption that we can capture 1% of 100 million trading volume per day, and I'm not including the other tokens that we mentioned before, that could generate $10,000 of fees to the protocol on a daily basis. Then you can pick any assumption that you wish. You can say we're going to capture like 30% of the volume. You can say 10%. You can say whatever, but at least you can make your own computation, and I think that's important. Now, on our end, we're going to do some more like accurate or more precise simulations based on the actual data that you have, so that we can forecast or have like a better idea, let's say, of the average or the expected transaction fee per day. But that still remains a simulation. And again, it's important that people actually start digging around, seeing like what's the current trading volume, how much you could potentially capture, etc., etc. And we have the community for that, and that's very important.
So, in the grand scheme of things, if the full delivery, the solution's up, everything's running, you're looking at around 1.6 billion LUNC intake before the 1st of June. That's monumental. Absolutely
Yes.
monumental.
Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah, exactly. So basically, exactly. So that's what we're saying is ideally, and we think we can make it, right? But we're taking the risk on our side. So in terms of costs, we're saying that we're gonna be paid like, so you've got $50,000 for the first module, $50,000 for the next module, and then you've got another module which is all the risk management and the modeling and the basically trying to keep the risk as low as possible, as well as having all this tooling to get the testing, etc. done. That's 25,000. And then what we're saying is that if we generate $500,000 to the protocol by June, we're going to ask another spend proposal of 125,000, right? So if in total, if we do what we think we can do, it will cost you 250K, but then we would have generated you 500K within like a couple of months. All right. And if not, we won't take this extra money. For us, we see it as a whole. We don't see it as two payments somehow. We see it as the same payment, but we're leaving the money with you guys, with the community, so that you can see for yourself and you can decide. But we do think that I mean, when you look at our community, at the influencers, the people, the patient around our tokens and all, it's like the idea is also, if people would know that swapping through on-chain, through Terra Station, for example, or Rebel Station or whatever, if they knew that this would actually benefit them, they wouldn't go and buy their token on Binance or all. I mean, Binance did it for this reason. So Binance initiated a burn. It was also like marketing to basically pretty much attract our community. So our community is super valuable, and it's important to try to create products or try to build things in a way that it can actually leverage this massive community and this massive effect that we're seeing.
It's something to be excited about. We really do need this as well, especially for the more average kind of person that is just going to buy a bag and sit on it, because this is what draws more people in, is the idea of things being built, things are happening, and things are moving. So there is a piece in here about, are you going to be competing with other teams to become main core developers? And, I could see people kind of asking that in their heads, but at the same time, it's a decentralized coin down to its core, and anybody is allowed to suggest something. And you've put so much work into this. It's beautiful in itself to see that. So you've got 30 years of experience, right, together as a team. That is amazing. You've got work in Golang, you've got Python, you've got the bases covered, and you've got the know-how to do this. So a lot of people are probably going to sit there and say to themselves, well, what's in it for these guys? So, what kind of response would you have there?
Well, absolutely, that's a fair point. So I think, first of all, and that's, people build on this ecosystem because, you've got 20,000 or even more coin on coin market cap. They've got no users, no people, no nothing, right? So if you come and if you can make a difference in this ecosystem, is a massive, massive benefit for the team doing it, right? So that's one thing. It's got lots of visibility, and it's quite. We've got actually, despite what happened with USDC, etc., we do have lots of good pieces in place already in terms of infrastructure. We have lots of good things readily available, and it's important that we try and leverage this, right? So what's available to us is that what's into us for it. So first of all, we get paid to do something which I think is quite innovative and quite interesting. So that's really cool, right? It's not like for free, etc. So we're getting paid, and that's perfect, and that's cool. The other thing is that hopefully, and also it shows our commitment, is that if we can roll out what we say we're going to do, and we're hoping to come back with more things. And for example, one idea or one thing I've been contemplating on my end, as I said at the beginning, is, I mean, that's also one thing which brought me to Terra Classic, is the multi-currency. So when you look into it at the moment, we've got all sorts of tokens, etc. Or if you look at Uniswap, you can trade any possible tokens, right? But what we're thinking is that that would be amazing if we could potentially leverage the existing token that we have, such as EUTC, GBTC, KRTC, all these digital currencies, these Terra currencies, and try to become the Uniswap of Terra currencies, right? So a sort of Uniswap where you could have institutional investors trading real FX markets, arbitraging them against our pools of Terra currencies. That would be awesome and amazing. And of course, there will be, like, I think, lots of money in this market for everyone to be made. And so I think if we can pull that one out, it will be absolutely huge, right? So that's the first product. That's really interesting. That's really cool. It gives us some cool visibility. And on top of it, we'd like to build more later on. And I think that's what got us involved with this proposal. The other thing is that, and frankly, if we can basically make Terra Classic like a great platform again and potentially start generating a lot of revenue, that would be like the biggest comeback in history, right? So for any team, that's super challenging. But if you can make it, of course, it's super challenging. But if you can make it, it's gonna be like create something, and we do have a lot of things or pieces readily available, such as a great community, lots of infrastructure, etc. So we have a lot to use, but if we can do that, frankly, it will be like I think a big deal. Yeah.
Definitely. And everybody loves a comeback story. And I think LUNC is already a kind of comeback story in itself, but we just need to make those jumps again as a community. So the way I see this is you could be going to many other platforms that are actually working on the same technology that we are and present this there, and they'd probably jump on it because it's a really good idea if they didn't already have something like this in place. So we really do need this. So looking at the Oracle rewards pool in itself, we are very blessed as a community because the majority of the funding in the Oracle pool actually came from the crash. So we're very fortunate on that scale to have that much in the pool to start with. So this isn't something that would even, what would it be on a percentage scale, Faffy, from the Oracle rewards pool? Just for the people that are probably maybe worried a little bit, thinking you're going to deplete the Oracle rewards pool
Okay.
by a considerable amount, because it doesn't even
Yeah.
work out to that much, does it?
No, I mean, to be honest, if we can do like 10% up to 20% will be really nice, will be really, really, really good, right? So let's say 10 to 20% will be great, knowing that the tokens are still there. They're going to be used. And at some point, like, I mean, hopefully we keep using them because we're going to keep refilling the Oracle pool, meaning that, there will be like some new token coming back to the Oracle pool. And you shouldn't really need that money. At all, right? Because otherwise you're gonna just put it back to the Oracle pool and wait for it to be distributed and doing nothing literally. So it's like 10 to 20% that I think should already allow us to do some really cool things.
Yeah, because more or less it's just a very, 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 very long death spiral in a sense that if we don't figure out a way to fund the Oracle pool, everything will collapse on its own weight. Delegates need a reason to delegate. Validators need a reason to validate, and that all comes from the Oracle rewards pool. At the end of the day, it's the way it's distributed out, it's very balanced and it's just the way it works. And this really does mold everything around it. So, looking at more of the kind of idea of your team. So, you, just in case people missed it at the beginning, because I think my sound was a little bit off at the beginning, just for the first few seconds. But you were formerly part of Terra Rebels, right?
Yes, so myself, not the two of us. So basically, it's myself. I was formerly part of Terra Rebels. I actually created the quant team there. That was back in end of June or something like this, July, I think. So at the very, very beginning, right? So I uh, I created this team there. We started to do some basically work of trying to understand the existing platform and system. I left shortly after, so that was like 1 month or so. After that, I think I left around like end of July. Um, but the two other guys that are working with me, they are not part of Terra. So these are people that I have asked to work with me on this project, who bring some very specific skills on the table, and I think that these skills are very much needed to roll out this project and to make it like how it should be basically. So in terms of risk management, in terms of delivery, etc.
Absolutely loving it. You really have covered all the bases in this. If someone wanted, I think there should be like a template proposal put up of this. Like, you really have covered all of the bases, so to speak. And the feedback I am seeing on this is pretty good, and it's good to see those who are reading it are understanding the need for this right now, and the fact that it's not, you've brought more people to the table that could possibly, you'll go on to build more things and stuff like that. And this is all just, it was really good. It's a real good growth period that we're going through, and I'm excited about this. I hope this this video manages to, get more people excited about this whole thing, because I think, you guys have a really good opportunity here to do exactly what you're saying you're going to do. And I myself, I know that you are part of Terra Rebels, and I've heard so many different like good stories about the things that the quant team were doing, and specifically you. So I know that you are good-hearted, and you're walking on the right path for this. So this is really good. Is there anything you kind of wanted to go over just towards the end of this podcast?
Well, no, I suppose just to finish it on a nice on a good note. So I think we're gonna be putting this. So we're Saturday now. So to vote maybe like Sunday or so. I think within the next couple of days we've had like 7, 10 days almost of discussion in the Agora. So basically, discussion pretty much us explaining or answering questions of people. For example, people having a bit more sometimes not seeing or providing them like more visual information in terms of what's going to happen to the token, etc. Most importantly, the thing I would like to remind to everyone: we are a very strong community, ultra valuable. We've got lots of, we've got like a very solid infrastructure which has been left by TFL, right? So it was used to do certain things. For example, the peg mechanism. We may choose to we can reuse that I mean, it's very valuable. And if we can operate what we have, there is a lot of value in it, right? So it's not just like a dead chain, a dead main chain or whatever. It's got a lots of value in it. But one of the main challenge that we're going to be facing is trying to be able to work together. So between the devs, the quants, the influencers, or the Twitter, the YouTuber, the holders, and then between like within like around the core of the protocol or around like the apps, etc. So there are quite a few challenges in terms of like having so many people working together on this thing. On the other hand, is also the strength, and as long as we find ways to basically keep it like keep our goals and keep focus, that's gonna be feasible. The worst which can happen is that we basically start dividing ourselves too much, and we start like fighting ourselves too much, etc. It's very important. Like if we have questions or if we don't agree, we can try to somehow put this in a way that is constructive, and we try to stick together. And there is a lots of value. We just have to extract it.
Definitely. Yeah, the infighting is never going to help. It never helps anything in any situation. I think this defines clear goals, deliverables, and it's really set into how it stands, what it's supposed to be, and the budget surrounding it. I really do feel like you've covered all the bases. So I appreciate you coming on, Faffy, and we'll get this out there, and hopefully we'll get some good feedback back. And it's going up Sunday, just like you said, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right. So hopefully it's gonna go Sunday, I believe. Yeah.
Lovely. So there you go, folks. So that you have that on Sunday. So let us know in the comments what you think. Links to everything in the description. I'll leave a link to Faffy's Twitter and socials and stuff like that as well. Faffy, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. That's goodbye from me, guys, and goodbye from Faffy. And we'll just catch you in the next one.